This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And a balmy 6-degree morning here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK out here at Brooks Robinson Plaza at Wellspan Park in downtown York. Proud to be bringing you our show here on 98.9 FM and 1350 AM. WOYK. You can listen on the stream at 989WOYK.com. All brought to you by kindnessworldwide.org. That's right. What are you going to do today to bring more kindness into your sphere of influence, at your workplace, wherever you are, going to the shopping center, whatever it might be? kindnessworldwide.org is the reason you should do that, but really the reason you should do that is just the right thing to do. It's a global nonprofit, by the way, with a vision to create a culture of kindness in communities throughout the world. Why not you? Why not us? Why not now? Check it out at kindnessworldwide.org. And Ann Stein and Spoiler, attorneys at law. They're located at 117 East Market Street in York. They take in the very people we talk about every day, the Main Street of York County. If you need law assistance in areas of estate planning, estate administration, family law, that's divorce and custody, municipal law, military law, they are the place to go. And if you have questions, give them a call, 717-846-8811. Their hours are Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m., and they are ready to help you right now. Again, 717-846-8811. Ann Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law. You want to check out some of our merchandise? Go to merchrev.com, hit the button that says buy now, and see what we have to offer. We've got some T-shirts, some pullovers, some sweatshirts, some pretty cool stuff. You can text us throughout the show at 833-478-4729. And you can check out our question of the day. Today's audio question of the day is up there at Facebook and also Instagram. And it's this. Bill Belichick got snubbed yesterday for the Hall of Fame in the first ballot. Now, I don't care what you think about Bill Belichick as a person or whatever. I mean, the guy got snubbed. What's he won? 6 Super Bowls? I mean, no one ever did that. 6 Super Bowls. I mean, I remember people said about not putting Ty Cobb in the Hall of Fame. They did anyway. Ty Cobb was a slime ball. I mean, Ty Cobb used to sit over on the sidelines before a game, and he'd be filing his spikes because he'd try to go in and spike people. We're not electing people because of the favorite person in the world. We're electing because they did a heck of a job in their sport, and Bill Belichick did arguably the best job that any coach has ever done in that sport. So it's amazing to me, and you can see I have a bias on this. And it's not because I particularly like or don't like Bill Belichick, but these Hall of Fame, we get into all these judgments about, oh, I don't know, man. I really don't know if I like him. Come on. The guy's a genius. So there you go. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking at the record here, and this just goes to show you that AI is not always right.
Okay.
All right. So you're correct. 6 Super Bowl titles. But then right underneath it on this particular thing, it says 31 Super Bowl wins overall. Well, that's not right. There's no way.
They probably mean playoff wins, right?
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
But they put, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, 31.
Yes.
You played a lot of Super Bowls.
That's for sure.
We only have number 60 coming up this time, so I'd be over half.
Yes. And then 8 Super Bowl victories.
Can you imagine how insufferable you guys would be as fans if you had been in 31 Super Bowls? I mean, it's bad enough the ones you've been in. But,
it's not bad.
Well, no, but I'm saying that, I've gone through the years of.
Yes.
And I will not do my little haughty imitation.
Oh, you have an imitation of me.
I did it yesterday. Not you. No, just
of Patriot fans in general.
Yeah.
I see. Hey, look.
Pass the chowder. This chowder here, it's a little bland.
All I can say is
another championship. Oh, imagine that.
Here's the thing.
We weren't that good this year.
Here's the thing
yeah, please.
This is just another example.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
of, it's an award. It's a recognition,
Right,
okay,
right.
of one particular thing you do. All right. It is not a validation of everything you have done. And I think that's where, a lot of people kind of get mixed up in it. I mean, I have said, and if you maybe can validate this for me,
Go ahead.
but I'm pretty sure I've said over the years many times that I don't like Bill Belichick as a human being.
You have said that, yeah.
Yes, he's not a good, I don't think he's a good guy.
No.
All right, but
Hell of a football coach.
he is a good defensive football coach.
Okay.
And he's a terrible drafter, generally.
Okay.
But, when you have the players, especially Tom Brady, that helps a lot. And that.
But think about this, though. If you're a terrible drafter and you still won 6 Super Bowls,
That's right.
How good a coach are you?
That's right.
I mean, by if you take
He was not exceptional in all areas of football. He was just kind of exceptional in one particular area. So if he's not a first ballot guy with all that,
then who is?
right?
That's exactly right.
It's just ridiculous. So then it makes me wonder whether they did this on purpose.
Well, the spine with the camera thing, and I guess people.
That's
forget
true.
That could be some things left over. The deflate gate, but that wasn't really on him. But,
Right. Well, I mean,
But he's a head coach.
he should be. He should and he will be.
Yeah. So we'll see. He'll be in. It's just a matter. This was a slap in the face, and just to say, hey, And then, he hasn't done that well on the collegiate level his first year at North Carolina.
And it's not going to be get.
And ain't going to get a whole lot better.
No, it's not. He has. I don't know how much of a. Well, I don't know. If you were a kid, would you want to sign up to go to North Carolina?
No, because he's like in his 70s. He's not going to be there that long. So,
Right.
You'd figure,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to go someplace where I'm pretty sure the coach's going to be there for the 1 year I'll be there.
And here's
no,
the
I'm kidding.
thing.
1, 2, 3, 4 years with a portal. Yeah.
There were 10 NFL jobs open.
Yeah.
7 of them have been filled. There are 3 left. 2 of the
And his name's not
worst.
mentioned.
That's right.
Yeah. His name's not even mentioned.
That's right. And I think he would do it in a heartbeat.
Maybe. National Kazoo Day today, one of the most obnoxious instruments ever
Wait a second.
invented.
We need to have
National Kazoo Day.
We need to have.
No, we don't need to
let's
have-
just sure we do.
No. Oh, Lord.
All right.
Oh, my gosh.
How was that?
Don't do that again.
Did you enjoy that?
No.
No. What?
It's 11 days to Super Bowl, 17 days to Valentine's Day. What other things do we have going on? Pray tell.
International Lego Day.
Nothing like a good Lego under the feet when you're walking around the house, huh?
Isn't that the worst?
Oh, my gosh. I did see something yesterday where they're making these Legos now that will actually not hurt when you step on them.
Yeah, a little softer.
Yeah, a little softer Lego.
But they have all different kinds. I think it's amazing. Have you ever seen, the models that they
When
put
I was
together?
down at Orlando in December, I went to the Lego place over at Disney Springs, and I was fascinated. Had some pictures taken. They have like a dragon in water
Yes.
that they made out of Legos. They've got stuff that it's
Shocking.
unbelievable. You know what it tells me? That there's some people that have way too much time in their hands. I just don't know.
I think there's a guy.
But I am impressed.
Saw on Instagram where I think he said he had every Star Wars Lego set, every single one.
Wow.
And he had them in this big room, and he was showing, taking video of it, and it's nice to have a hobby.
I posed next to Chewie, the Star Wars character.
Did
I think
you?
at the Legos place. Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I have to see if I can find that picture somewhere.
And then post that.
And then I'll post it. Yeah,
There you
I'll
go.
post it because it needs to be posted. God knows people need to see that.
I only mention this because it's a little bit clever. It's not Library Selfie Day. It's Library Shelfie Day.
Shelfie Day.
Shelfie.
What is that?
Well, you go to a library and take your photo.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
National Data Privacy Day. Good luck with that.
Yeah, everything's out there now, isn't it?
We have a story that I hope we get to today. It's kind of shocking. Just a headline is that Meta is considering, get this, subscriptions to access its platforms. So, you know, you log in every day and you check Instagram or you check Facebook. What if you had to pay a subscription to do that?
Boy, I'll tell you what. It would be, you would be doing a far less social media, that's for sure.
I think so. The food holiday today is a pretty good one, but I have strict rules.
Go ahead.
It's blueberry.
That really surprised me that you have strict rules. Wait, let me feign my, let me fall on the floor.
National Blueberry Pancake
Good
Day.
Lord.
You must have fresh blueberries. You must.
Well, I understand that. I mean, that would be.
But I mean, sometimes it's like that goop that they put in a can that they'll top cheesecake with.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not. No.
It's got to be fresh blueberries or else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else. If I see the goop, you can keep it.
Uh-huh.
But National Blueberry Pancake
Just a word
Day,
of warning to all of you that are getting ready to make some.
I mean, I can't. You want the best, don't you?
I do.
I was talking with my son last night. He was talking about this guy on, I think it's Instagram, where he posts about food and he tries food around the world. And I said, doesn't it really all come down to quality? It's as long as it's the best. Good quality ingredients, you can, I pretty much think you could like anything. And then he said, not cartilage.
Oh.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we went to this pho place, pho.
Yes.
And he said that the menu it didn't have a description of anything. It just had numbers and letters. So he thought, well, let's be adventurous, which is great because I like to think I am a little bit.
Right.
And he said we ordered it, and it was a big block of collagen, the cartilage stuff. Lord. And I said, well, normally they put that in, the what do we call it? The consomme, the salt, the liquid, and it kind of breaks down so that it makes it rich.
Right.
He said no. He said this didn't break down. He said it was chewy and crunchy, and I know in other countries.
Speaking of chewy, I put my picture of next to Chewy at the
Excellent.
Legos. I put that up on Facebook just now.
Cool. Oh,
See how
also,
quickly it's like lightning.
Also today, I thought this was fascinating.
But I like that, by the way. And thanks for describing the whole cartilage. That's really good.
Really.
Yeah.
I gave you 1887 on this date. 1887.
1887, a day we all remember well.
If you remember anything, check this out. During a snow, and this is from onthisday.com.
Okay.
During a snowstorm in Fort Keogh, Montana. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
The world's largest snowflakes are reported.
How big were they?
You're not going to believe this.
No, I'm not.
15 inches wide.
Get out of here.
And 8 inches thick.
They'd fall on you, they'd wipe you out.
I don't know. I just have never heard
Who was
that.
reporting on that? That's what I want to know. Who was out there?
I'm just shocked.
How big was it? Try it again. Go measure it again. How big was it? Oh, Lord.
Beverly Hills, California, incorporated on this date.
Okay.
Also, Elvis had his first TV appearance, and I thought, wait a second, that's not today. And it's like, no, it was a local TV appearance where he was on.
The very first TV appearance.
Yes, not the national one.
Yeah.
So just kind of interesting.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting stuff today. We'll tell you some of the things that are happening around you on Main Street of York and Pennsylvania and nationally next on the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. Stop it.
Autodesk Fusion. It was a bitter cold but sparkling clear morning at Cape Canaveral. Here, the last seconds of the countdown.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
All the communications between the shuttle and mission control indicated everything was going fine. There was a sense of relief that the much-delayed flight was finally underway.
Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%. Challenger, go with throttle up. Challenger, go with throttle up.
It happened just over 1 minute into flight.
1 minute, 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
From mission control, silence. Then the bland, chilling report.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Flight director confirms that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point.
Wow.
Slow motion.
Yeah. The Challenger, and a lot of you will remember, if you watch that take, it almost had become routine. And it was the 25th mission of the Challenger, and of course, it blew up going off at Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy. And they later on did recover it, recovered, pieces of it. But it was, I had a class watching it that day, and we had TV up there, and kids were watching it, and we were, showing about how to take it off and how it took off and so forth. And then there it was, and wow, it was just, it was one of those, there's different demarcation moments in our history. You think about the Titanic and you think about things like that. But yesterday you mentioned about the one Apollo 1 blowing up on a pad, which reminds us of our mortality. And unfortunately, this happened later on. I believe the Columbia also crashed, coming back into Earth's atmosphere, and all across Texas. And but the Challenger was the first that we saw, and of course.
Krista McAuliffe
was
teacher.
on that. Yeah, among 6 other people who died on it as well. So there you go. Other news today, the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission launched a new super plow over the January 25th weekend.
What?
Yeah, I hadn't heard about this. The equipment is a 550 horsepower tri-drive truck with 3 rear axles, Mark. Wow. Combined, the front and wing plows can clear a 27-foot wide path in one pass. That's more than 2 lanes on the highway. Marissa Orbanak, press secretary of the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission, said in an email, "It's the only one of this new equipment the Turnpike has," she said. Turnpike officials plan to use the new superplow and plow trains during heavy storms with another truck following behind to clear all lanes in one pass.
Do you have a picture of it there?
Yeah, I do. It's huge.
It is. It's got a plow in the front like a normal thing,
then got a huge
but then
one
it's got another one on the side, on the passenger side. So
that's one. If you want to get some respect on the road, you drive this thing, and you wouldn't have to worry about anybody trying to ever pass you because they couldn't. But even on its own, it can remove snow from more of the highway much faster than the current truck.
27 feet in one pass.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing?
That's more than 2 lanes. Yeah, I see that.
So if you're coming up toward that thing and it's coming down, move over. Yeah. Just move over. That's one you don't want to mess with.
Crazy.
The Steelers, by the way, hired Mike McCarthy. We mentioned this yesterday as their next head coach.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mike Tomlin's successor. Boy, talk about two different coaches. But McCarthy, who is a Pittsburgh native, by the way, which I did not know, will replace Tomlin, who stepped down after a 19-season run with the Steelers, in which he had not won a season that wasn't a winning season. So McCarthy, 62, is the Steelers' 4th head coach since 1969. He follows in the footsteps of Tomlin, Bill Cowher, and Chuck Noll, who were 34, and 37 years old when they took over. So there you go. That's a good one.
Well, I see this story here. Forecast models predicting a bomb cyclone off the East Coast this weekend.
Oh, great.
Yes, so I guess there's a couple of different scenarios. There is the coastal storm, Northeast being spared. There is the widespread snow event, of which we would get a little bit where we would be on the outer edges. And then the third scenario is nothing.
Oh, okay.
So take your choice.
I'd like the nothing part.
Nothing. Yeah, that would be great.
By the way, in Lancaster, apparently they mean what they say when they say snow emergency routes. The city declared a snow emergency Saturday morning, effective at noon. Saturday night, workers towed approximately 140 cars that were parked along major highways. So they were talking serious there in Lancaster. So they say snow emergency, and maybe you ought to keep that in mind here if there's a snow emergency in our area, which there have been. You don't park on the street. And roughly 140 vehicles parked along snow emergency routes were towed by the city of Lancaster Saturday night. The city declared a snow emergency Saturday morning ahead of the start of the major winter storm affecting much of central Pennsylvania. And they said, hey, Mayor James Arroyo warned residents that vehicles parked along snow emergency routes would be towed if they were not moved after the declaration, which went into effect at noon on Saturday, and they followed through on it. Vehicle owners will have to pay a towing fee to cover the cost of moving their cars. So there you go. No means no.
I see that I'm looking at other sports news. Sean Payton, the Broncos lost on Sunday.
Right.
He fired 3 coaches on Tuesday, including the offensive coordinator.
Oh.
Yeah, wide receivers and quarterbacks coach as well. So
how could you do that? I mean, how can you fire your offensive coordinator in a snowstorm with a guy that hasn't started a game in 3 years? Really? Come on.
They had it coming.
Maybe.
No, Mike.
Do you think so? I don't think so. That's stupid. So again, the standards that we're setting now for coaching. Oh, we didn't go to the Super Bowl. You better fire the staff. But
wait a
what's
second.
the matter with these people?
Let's be a little bit fair in that. And I was talking to Deb about this over the weekend. I said, everybody wants to win right away. So it takes time to build a team. It takes time and talent, but people don't want to wait for that.
Right.
So it sort of makes sense, in the
times in which we live,
to fire people. You got 1, maybe 2 years, and if anything bad happens before you get fired, you'll get fired.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Is that unfair? Is it just playing into the culture?
Well, if you explain it that way, I mean, if the times in which we live demand you got to win right away, so you go and get a 1-year contract. Okay, I had a 1-year contract.
There you go.
You
Everybody.
win the championship, you're gone. Out of here. Next one in. I mean, but that's unrealistic. I mean, for anybody that's ever been in coaching, you know darn well that's unrealistic.
But a lot of people are looking for worst to first. For example, the Broncos weren't great the year before.
Everybody's looking at New England.
And New England, right, exactly. Two good examples of teams that didn't play well, and then all of a sudden in 1 year. And that's what these other teams are looking for.
But how many times has that ever happened, that you go from worst to first? It doesn't happen very often.
It's not about how many times, because, see, that muddies the water. That gives
it makes you think a little bit.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, I know.
It makes you think, that gives you perspective.
Right.
You don't want that. You just want to win, and that's it. And this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to throw the table over like a game of Risk in Gary's basement.
Thank you. Pictionary.
Pictionary.
Yeah.
Right, sorry.
That's different. That's different because I'm doing it.
Yes.
I get it. It doesn't have to make sense if I do it. Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's gotten to the point of ridiculousness this year watching this. You fire your offensive coordinator who got you to the AFC Championship game, okay, who has you there. You lose your starting quarterback the week before. He takes this Steedham guy who hasn't started in 3 years, and he's going to be your quarterback, and you manage to hang tough with a team that's going to the Super Bowl in a snowstorm in the second half that nobody could move the ball. What are you talking about? It's just insane.
Where's that kazoo?
I know. Thank you. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Michael Gear's up next. We're talking abortion today at the State House in Harrisburg. All next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. That was Michael Jackson when he still had a face and a nose. Yeah. The essential Michael Jackson.
Is there a kazoo in there?
And you want to be starting something. Got to be starting something. Just like you did today with that kazoo thing. Got something started.
I think I hear one.
No, you don't hear one. I'm going to be screaming all day from time to time over that kazoo.
Let me see if I can find one.
No, let's see if you can't. Stay away from that. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on a Wednesday morning where it is 6:36. I'm sure Michael Gear shares my disdain for kazoos. He is the president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute, and he joins us here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was just imagining you moonwalking across the studio there. You're singing there.
Or doing it on a kazoo. National Kazoo Day, Michael. I mean, you just said it all with that. Oh, yeah, that was it. So anyway, hey, welcome back.
For people who can't play any other instrument, I guess that. Gives them something.
My mother had those around. She taught elementary music, and they had these kazoos, and it was like, oh my gosh, stop. Quit it. Send them to Gitmo. Do something. I don't care what, but get them out of here. But from a very serious standpoint, March for Life this past Friday, and we have a bill today before the Pennsylvania House, I understand, or multiple bills that would expand abortion and remove safeguards for children and shield abortion providers from accountability. Let's talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah, that's legislation that the House of Representatives, specifically the House Democrats, this group of bills, pieces of legislation, moved through committee late last year, and now are being considered for action here as the legislature reconvenes here in the new year. We're hopeful that ultimately they won't go anywhere, that they'll reach a brick wall in the Senate because, they're pretty significantly radical bills, especially ones that allow for abortion up until birth. We have a state Supreme Court case that's also looking at that same sort of thing. And so those of us who care about the sanctity of life, the many who came down to Washington, D.C. at the March for Life this past Friday, need to use our voice to talk about why life is precious and should be protected.
Were you down this past Friday, Michael?
I was not. I was still battling a cold.
Yeah.
We had quite a number on our team. We actually had a bus that that we sponsored at Pennsylvania Family Institute. There were dozens of buses that came from across Pennsylvania down to the March for Life, but we had about 6 members of our team that were down there, and our Kurt Weaver, who's leads our Church Ambassador Network, actually for the last 5 years now has been the production manager for the March for Life there in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
The folks who put that event on saw how excellently run the Pennsylvania March for Life was with Kurt's leadership, that they asked him if he would lead those efforts down there, both for the rally and the march, and then also for the dinner that takes place, what they call the Rose Dinner that evening. So that was it was a great day. I did watch the whole live stream. It was professionally done. Some great speakers. We had the Vice President of the United States who spoke there, and Speaker Mike Johnson, and some really compelling stories of folks who chose life over what the abortion industry was telling them to do. And about 100,000 people, I think, is what the estimates that I heard, the people that turned out. And in contrast to some of the other protests and marches that have taken place recently, this one was peaceful and did not result in any rioting or violence or deaths or anything else. It was a celebration of life.
How has the the March for Life, and I know our friend Jeff Coleman was down there on Friday. He goes down yearly regularly, and he'll be on today later on at 7:05. But how has that changed? As you talk, because of the Supreme Court rulings and so forth over the last few years that basically turned it back over to the states. Has the tenor or the I guess the message is pretty much the same, but the way it's presented now, has that changed at all, Michael, from your vantage point?
Well, one of the significant changes was that, the March for Life was originally established after the Roe versus Wade decision, which imposed abortion on demand on every state in the country. And so the march was really about both noting that egregious decision and calling for the overturn of the Roe versus Wade decision. And the big change is that just a few years ago, I think in 2022, the Dobbs decision came down and did overturn Roe versus Wade. So now the turn, and the marchers used to basically go from the rally, which was where all the politicians and other speakers would speak. They then march there to the Supreme Court, calling on the Supreme Court to overturn it. Now the march does go by the Supreme Court, but really focuses on Congress, looking for the United States Congress to take action. But as the president has said, and when the Supreme Court decision came down, the Dobbs decision overturning Roe versus Wade, the battle really came to the different states, which is why, here in Pennsylvania, we're in the midst of a battle with progressive Democrats in the House of Representatives pushing very extreme abortion bills that would allow non-doctors to do abortions, would create situations, again, where you can do abortions up till birth, would create situations where people could be penalized for engaging in legitimate protests of abortion with sidewalk counseling and things. So many other ways that the pro-abortion position is being pushed, with lots of money coming from groups like Planned Parenthood. There's been an ongoing sort of cycle of money. The politicians grant money to groups like Planned Parenthood that then get involved in the political realm and then pay and give substantial grants back to politicians to elect them into office. One of the biggest donors in the Tom Wolf campaign for governor was Planned Parenthood, and he quickly rewarded them with a lot of pro-abortion activity as governor. Even when we had the COVID shutdowns, where almost everything was shut down in the state, Governor Wolf let the abortion clinics stay open.
Let me ask you this question. Do you have a sense, and maybe you talk to a lot of organizations like your own in other states around the country, is there a sense of where people are at right now generally on abortion through polls are, somewhat inexact, obviously, and there's no way of maybe quantifying it exactly, but is there a sense of where the trend is in America right now as far as how people look at abortion?
Well, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. When just what I would call sort of just mainstream legitimate polling is asking questions, most people don't want these late-term abortions and believe there should be some restrictions. When it comes to ballot initiatives or then, things that voters are then choosing on, because of the money that comes in and sort of suggests these worst-case scenarios kind of things and tells people that if they have a miscarriage, they can't get miscarriage care, all kinds of different misinformation and even straight-out lies are then engaged in with TV commercials and stuff, stoking fear. And fear is a significant motivating factor when it comes to voting. And so those dollars that are spent by groups like Planned Parenthood and many billionaires putting money into pro-abortion positions and misinformation tends to then cause voting to be different than what people say they believe in polls.
Yeah, I think, and the other part, too, and I've seen this from time to time in polls where people say, well, we're not sure we want to take away the rights of people. And they get into that whole kind of thing, too. And you've seen the same ones I've seen. Just comment on that, if you would, for a moment, because people get a little antsy when people say, well, we're taking away a right from somebody. But is it really a right? I guess that's one of the big arguments we have in the country.
No, I think that's a good way to phrase it. And again, some of that fear sort of thing and using the language in that way to be taking away a right. A lot of people, who, in polling that was done before the Dobbs decision, you find a lot of people who would call themselves pro-life. Many of them ultimately, though, came down to, I'm pro-life unless, I oppose abortion unless I need one, something they want to keep in their back pocket. And so that's where that fear element comes in and says, well, you're going to be in this situation or that situation. Next thing you know, you're going to have a child who has some diagnosed disability or something. You're going to want to terminate that pregnancy. And so those sorts of rare and situations and things are then used to make people fear and say, well, I'm not going to give up this right because in case that situation happens for me. And so what we have then happening is, abortions taking place to the tune of well over 1 million every year here in the United States, well over, between 30 and 40,000 in Pennsylvania every year. And that's not those rare cases. That's abortion really for just any reason whatsoever, for no reason whatsoever, just because people think that somehow that's an answer to their situation.
ongoing discussion, ongoing debate in this country, and not going away anytime soon. I hope the cold gets better, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning. And people can find you at pafamily.org for up-to-date coverage on all the things that are concerns for the Pennsylvania Family Institute. Michael, thanks so much for all you're doing.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Gary.
Have a great day. Take care. Michael Gear here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, what do you have going on, Mark?
Well, it's funny you should ask because we have all kinds of little tidbits, including, you know how we like to talk about artifacts and auctions.
Sure.
Well, there's one with, and it's coming from Apple. So we know there are all kinds of devices that Steve Jobs put out and made, boatloads of money.
Right.
But what about some other artifacts they found in his home and office and things that he was working on that never really quite made it or, weren't, the final end product? Would you pay money to buy something like that?
Depends. I might.
Yeah.
I might.
I can't wait to hear what exactly they found and what's coming up for sale.
All straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 646. Really like this song.
I know what's on your mind.
Was that Christopher Cross?
That's me on the kazoo.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, I could sing harmony with some of it. That's not harmony, but anyway. Yeah, Christopher Cross, All Right. from, I think it was after his big hits in 1980. This was 81, 82, somewhere in there.
Right.
Oh, it's 83. That's right. We're doing 1983 all week.
1983,
So,
yeah.
So sorry about that.
Very nice.
A little brain flat.
Anyway, welcome back to Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK here at 6:50. And
so
Mark McKenzie's got an interesting story here about jobs.
And well, before we get to Steve Jobs, I don't know if you can tell, but the U.S. population, according to the census, is slowing.
Yes.
Have you felt that?
Yes.
And there's
I saw that.
Interesting reason why.
The U.S. population hit nearly 342 million people in 2025, according to the latest estimate by the U.S. Census Bureau, a roughly 0.5% increase from the year before. Immigration was up by 1.3 million people last year, a sharp drop from the nearly 3 million immigrants in 2024. The Census Bureau does not distinguish between legal and illegal immigration. Over the last 125 years, the lowest growth rate was in 2021 at the height of the coronavirus pandemic. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
I guess that shouldn't be a surprise.
No, but yeah, just going down a little bit. And
so let's talk about the Apple auction. Check this out.
RR Auction is putting nearly 200 early Apple items up for bid, including vintage computers, original documents, and personal memorabilia connected to Steve Jobs. One of the headline pieces is Apple Computer Check Number 1, a $500 Wells Fargo check dated March 16, 1976, signed by Jobs and co-founder Steve Wozniak. The auction house says it predates Apple's founding by 16 days. Also up for bids, an ultra-rare Apple I prototype board described as an early pre-production test version. The auction wraps up January 29th. Matt Murphy, Fox News.
Here's the question I have. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm assuming that Apple has a museum and that, some of this stuff. I mean, you might even pay to go into the museum and see some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So why would they sell it?
I don't know. But yeah, I would go. I mean, I'd love to go in and see some of that stuff. And I was always fascinated by Steve Jobs. By the way, yesterday during Minneapolis is not the place you want to be right now, but during a town hall in Minneapolis on Tuesday, a man charged the podium where the representative Ilhan Omar was giving remarks, appeared to squirt a liquid at her, and was then tackled to the ground by a security guard after a brief struggle. People, calm down. The man identified as 55-year-old Anthony Kazmarzik, I believe is the way you say his name, was arrested and booked into Hennepin County Jail on suspicion of third-degree assault. The department said its officers were at the town hall for the event and observed a man use a syringe to spray an unknown liquid on the congresswoman. The incident sparked cries of alarm from those in attendance. The congresswoman did not appear to be injured. I'm going to finish my remarks. It is important for me to continue, Omar said, using profanity. We will continue, she said, these, and she went into a little bit of profane thing. But the disturbance comes amid tensions in Minneapolis between local officials, the Trump administration over the immigration crackdown in the city, and a lot of talk right now about whether Kristi Noem is going to hang on to her job as head of the Homeland Security. And, of course, Tom Homan being sent out there, and she has kind of been relieved, as has been the guy who was the head there. So we're going to see what happens in coming days. The president was asked yesterday about that, and he was talking about how terrible it was about the killing 2 weeks ago, and then one this past weekend of this Preto guy. And things are still hot out there, but it'd be nice to see people take their feet off the pedal there a little bit.
The other big tech story, at least I think it's a big one, a lot of people, part of their morning routine, it used to be to read the newspaper. Now it is to check Facebook for sure, and then maybe some other platform like Instagram. Well, Meta owns both of those platforms, and they are, I don't know if they're considering or thinking about instead of allowing you to do it for free, maybe offering a subscription. I don't know how well that's going to go over, but check out the story.
Meta, the Mark Zuckerberg social media giant, is planning to see how well its users might adapt to premium tiers that come with subscription fees. Meta tells TechCrunch that such a paid-for increased feature service for the likes of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp could come with an additional AI-based capability and exclusive features, including more say over what they see and how what they share is seen. The subs would be a different service than that of Meta Verified, which is aimed at content creators looking to make money. Eben Brown, Fox News.
You know, almost all of us wear athletic footwear. I think from time to time, as I am today, and Mark is as well. And this was an interesting story, and study finds athletic footwear has entered a new era of ambition. No longer content to promise just comfort or performance, Nike claims its shoes can activate the brain.
What?
Heighten sensory awareness and even improve concentration by stimulating the bottom of your feet. By studying perception, attention, and sensory feedback, we're tapping into the brain-body connection in new ways, said Nike's chief science officer, Matthew Nurse, in the company's press release for the shoes. It's not just about running faster, it's about feeling more present, focused, and resilient. Other brands like Naboso sell neuro insoles, socks, and other sensory-based footwear to stimulate the nervous system. It's a compelling idea. The feet are rich in sensory receptors, so could stimulating them really sharpen the mind?
Stimulate. Does it say how they stimulate?
It says the soles of the feet contain thousands of mechanoreceptors. Okay. That detect pressure, vibration, texture, and movement. Signals from those receptors travel through peripheral nerves to the spinal cord and up to an area of the brain called the somatosensory cortex, which maintains a map of the body. The feet occupy a meaningful portion of this map, reflecting their importance in balance, posture, and movement. And footwear also affects proprioception, the brain's sense of where the body is in space, which relies on input from muscles, joints, and tendons. Because posture and movement are tightly linked to attention and arousal, changes in sensory feedback from the feet can influence how stable, alert, or grounded a person feels. So there you go.
Wow, isn't that
interesting?
I can picture that.
Yeah.
And that sort of makes sense, I guess. And that would be perhaps an untapped area.
Yeah, really. And then I saw this story today. A majestic mountain lion was captured after hours-long San Francisco standoff. A mountain lion spotted in Lafayette Park on Monday was captured in San Francisco's Pacific Heights neighborhood on Tuesday morning after being surrounded by personnel from the San Francisco Zoo and San Francisco Animal Care and Control. The young lion was first caught on video Monday near the park. Now, you normally think of mountain lions being out in the wilderness or whatever.
Right.
Not in the city.
No.
And this was in San Francisco. At 6:21 on Tuesday, an alert was sent to San Francisco residents reporting the animal had been located and that animal control employees were on the scene. The animal was located at Octavia and California streets near the landmark Atherton House in the wealthy Pacific Heights neighborhood where the animal was cornered by officials. Took them 3 hours to get this sucker in, though.
Yeah, I imagine the response might have been different because they perhaps misidentified the mountain lion as a cougar.
Yeah.
And it's like an older woman who...
Or if they start out with kitty, 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 kitty.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
That you missed that.
I'm just saying, I got you. I got you. No, I got you. As a cougar and the older lady, yeah, I got
stupid.
No, I chose to go on by.
Thank you.
But then I had to, you got me.
I know,
so I had to come back.
I did.
I had to come back. It was like the kazoo thing again. I had to come back again.
Oh, hey, glad you brought that up.
No. Back, boy. Down.
Okay.
Anyway, when we come back, Jeffrey Coleman will be here with us on the Gary Sutton Show. And we'll talk a little bit about civility in our conversation, a little bit about the March for Life. He was there on Friday down in Washington, D.C., and about how that all went, and other assorted facts and figures all here on the Gary Sutton Show.
How about an interesting little fact that you were not aware of?
And Becky Rill's going to be here now by Your Better Care Solutions to talk about how their service operates. You say, well, how can I get that for free? Well, she'll explain some of that for you when she returns here after a week's hiatus, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. And then at 7:35, Tim Barker talks about 287G agreements between ICE and local communities. And then Chief Matt Millsaps from West York Police will be here to talk about one that he has with ICE at 7, I make that at 8:05, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Lots to do this morning, all here on WOYK. It is 7 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good. I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth. You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Go ahead. Make my day. One of the great lines of all time in movies. It really was. You know, it's Clint Eastwood. But was that in Dirty Harry, right? Yeah. Welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK 7:05 on a Wednesday morning, the 28th of January 2026, all brought to you by our presenting sponsors, Kindness Worldwide. Kindness Worldwide and also Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law. You know, Kindness Worldwide is a global nonprofit. It has a vision to create a culture of kindness in communities. And it all started with Kevin Smith getting his wallet returned from a store. And man, did that kick off a chain reaction in him that has gone out not only in the local community here to York as kind of the epicenter of kindness, but out into the world. And he is all over the place right now spreading kindness. You know, kindness is free, and it's the world's greatest superpower. It merely requires a personal choice to unleash its vast potential. So we invite you to join the movement to change the world with us, one kind act, one person, and one community at a time. What will you do today to make it a kinder world tomorrow? Visit kindnessworldwide.org. And also, Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, with estate planning, estate administration, family law, divorce and custody, and municipal law and military law. Anstein and Sparler is the place where Main Street Yorkers walk off the street and go get help. They're located at 117 East Market Street right here in York. And they've got great people there like Andy Harold, one of the attorneys there who is really instrumental with us on military law. He was able to handle both administrative and criminal matters before military courts-martial and military administrative. But they're located at 117 East Market Street right here in York. You can phone them at 717-846-8811. Tell them I sent you. The hours are Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5, and they are ready to help you, Main Street Yorkers, with any kind of legal situations you have right now that I was talking about a moment ago. They've been around since 1940, well-known here in York, and so glad to have them as a presenting sponsor. And this hour of the Gary Sutton Show, if that all weren't enough, is brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. Keith and Becky Rill are your local Medicare experts, and they are ready to help you explain what Medicare is, how it works, your personal options. And you're going to be talking to Becky a little bit later on in the hour here, and she'll be telling you how their operation works. But you can phone them at 717-487-4382 or email them at rill@Your Medicare Solutions. That's rill@your-medicare-solutions.net. With that, we turn to Jeff Coleman this morning, co-host of Morning Light with Deborah Pinkerton on Channel 49. And you can find him also on their website, and he'll tell you about that. And also, he is a principal at Churchill Strategies, and also a guy who was at the March for Life in D.C. on Friday, and also emceed the Civility Awards last week. And he's here this morning, if that weren't enough, all himself. And that's the end of our segment. Great talking with you, Jeff. I'm glad we had this time together. But no, hey, great to have you, my friend.
Good morning, Gary. Good morning.
Good morning. So you were at the March for Life on Friday, I saw.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it was, as always, there's a point in that march when you get up to the top of a hill. They kind of changed the route this year, so if you're looking at the front elevation of the Capitol to the right of it.
Right.
You get up to the hill, and then you look back, and you see a sea of people. And That's always cool to know that on some of these issues where you feel maybe the culture has moved on and you're in the wrong camp, you go, no, wait a second, we're not alone. So that was cool. And my daughter Anna caught the bus from Liberty. They had 19 buses go from Lynchburg, so she left at 4 a.m, and wow. I found her,
I saw the picture. That was great. Yeah.
yeah, it was cool because we'd been going since, she says we were she was 5 or 6 when I took her to the first March for Life. So we've been going for a long time, and I was not planning this year. Like, I had the show that morning, and I said, that's pushing it. And she said, Dad. And Rebecca looked at me and said, well, you started this.
That's exactly right.
So we met.
Sounds to me like you were outnumbered by the women in your family there.
As always.
Yeah, exactly. So, Spirit of Civility Awards last week.
How was that cool?
And I tell you what, you and Deborah did a great job with that. But that was just, you take and you said at the beginning, just put down your phones, get away from all the stuff, and you go inside someplace for an hour and a half. And it was, I found myself walking away from that, looking at all the people and listening to all the people that spoke that day and listening to the messages. And it was kind of a special moment. And it gave me hope that there are a lot of people who want to do things better in terms of being a little bit more civil in this society. Talk about that a bit.
Well, first of all, it was the 10 awardees, you included, pastors, police chiefs, a school headmaster. I mean, it was a former newspaper editor, Jim McClure. It was the kind of group you look at and, these are the people I want my children to grow up to be like. And then you look out at the audience and you go, well, anyone in that room really could have received some kind of recognition for the work they're doing in the community.
Right.
And it's such a contrast in a way to what was going on outside in the world, and that still is, because there's always a question, are we in the last chapter of the American story? Now, did we go too far? Was this the last time? Will we not be able to fix it and put it back in the bottle? And then you come to a room like this and go, you know what? No matter what is happening, no matter how loud the culture is, there are still people who are being normal, acting kind, and extending grace to people with whom they often disagree on political issues.
It was interesting. I was talking to my sister the other day, and she's listening, I know right now. And she was talking about, and she gets down sometimes about world events. And my mom used to do the same thing. And I used to tell her, Mom, don't put the radio down, turn it off. And I'm not telling people to do that right now, but turn off the TV and all that kind of stuff, and just give yourself a break. But I said to my sister the other day on the phone, I said, what did you do at work today? And my sister is at this company that gives out oil to take care of, filling your oil and so forth in Virginia. And so she said, well, we had a lot of deliveries today we had to make, obviously, with the cold weather coming up. But she said there was this one lady that I talked to all the time who needed a delivery, but she couldn't afford a whole delivery. She needed a partial one. But they had to have a whole delivery because that's just the way they were doing right now, going out there. They had like 170 appointments that day, whatever it was. So she said, I offered to pay the difference. And I said, there's today's headline. There's today's headline. Yeah. I said, forget about all the other stuff. It wasn't about Trump. It wasn't about this. It wasn't about that. It was about you taking the time to help somebody out that day. That's today's headline. Yeah. And more and more, I'm telling people that what are you doing in your corner of the world? That's really the headline today.
What she is saying, by the way, your sister right now, is I can't believe you shared that because that's not why I did it.
Yeah, it'll be the last time my sister and I ever have spoken. But but no, she understands. I mean, and I told her that. I said those are the things. Yeah. Because I do not allow that other stuff. Not that you're not aware of it, not that you don't want to see it change, and not that you don't talk about it, because that's what we do. But more like, but I can't do things directly about that. But I can do something directly about my interactions with the people I come across each day, and you can too.
If you start out the morning and say, it's not about me, and then you're able to reorient yourself and say, oh, by the way, this little moment of decency isn't going to go viral, because viral moments are usually the ones where you're mocking someone, making fun of someone. Maybe it's just really funny, but it's not. Normal is never the thing. The simple acts of person-to-person kindness or decency or civility or grace are the things that do not make those headlines. And today's, I was just looking at some footage, the 40th anniversary of the Challenger disaster.
Yes, we played that
and reading through President Reagan's speech, you get to this part where he says, by the way, we're going to be back in space again, and there's going to be another teacher in space again. We're not stopping. We're grieving. We're mourning. But every time there is a Minnesota. Every time there is a moment where we go, our heart stops.
Right.
Someone has to say, by the way, we'll be back. There's going to be, and not just blind, silly optimism. It's rooted in reality of who and what we trust and what we put our confidence in.
Well, and you remember when President Kennedy called us to the space and said we're going to put a man on the moon, and we did that in 10 years. And he said within 10 years, in 1969, there it was, with Apollo getting on the moon. When we look out there at the conversation right now, you mentioned that the furor in Minneapolis right now. We saw yesterday somebody tried to spray Representative Ilhan Omar with some substance and got taken into custody. We saw someone killed over the weekend, this Mr. Stephen Preto. We've seen the Renee Good killing 2 weeks ago, and what happened there. We're seeing people start. The president looks like he's starting to try to back off a little bit, maybe. Who gets off the merry-go-round first on this whole deal from where you can see it, Jeff?
Well, at some point, you have to, when you said Representative Omar's name, there's an immediate Rorschach reaction to that. People go, oh, that woman.
Yeah.
Or, oh, or that woman, yes, right? There are two different reactions. One is a hero, one is a villain. But the one thing I think we can do is in that little moment when you say Trump or say Ted Cruz or say Don Lemon, that you immediately, if you find your heart constricting a little bit and you're about to say something, to just it's just count to 10 or whatever you do to reframe it and remember that person deserves dignity and respect.
Correct.
Not because of anything they've done or not done, but because as Aaron Anderson said, we're made in the image of God, period.
Right. And it's not the right thing to do. I mean, I look at it and say, okay, really? That was my first reaction was, are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah.
And I'm not in agreement with Congresswoman Omar's positions in a lot of ways, but I do. She's there serving. She was elected. She's a congresswoman, and she deserves respect of that being that congresswoman and deserves to be heard without having liquid thrown at her or shot at her through a syringe or anything else, just like anybody else does. And so we're at that point where we don't necessarily want to hear. We hear as white noise until we get our 8 measures to say something again, and then we let it go again, and you can talk a little bit, but I'm not really listening to you. I'll be over here.
Sure.
Oh, it's my turn to talk again? Here we go. And that's kind of what parades as a conversation now, and it really, I said something about that in that speech last week, that we respect each other by listening to each other, and we raise each other up by listening to each other. And we got to somehow get back to that, because I'm worried it's just tearing away at the very fabric of who we are. Although I think most people, if you take politics out of the equation, can pretty much sit down and converse and figure it out a little bit. That's my positive side of it.
We can't. We just can't. We have to stop egging each other on. We have to stop encouraging or justifying bad behavior when we're in the car and we hear something. The person next to us has a responsibility not to laugh. Hey, did you see this? Did you hear that? In that moment, if you love that person, you're not just going to feed the dark part. You're going to encourage and say, oh, look at the bird. You're going to find some way to get the topic off of the negative, because as soon as you start that, it's a long train of memes and ugly, and it ends up, you end up being the loser.
Into the darkness. On a far lighter note, to end the show here today, although I want to ask you about what's on Morning Light this morning, a new Filipino place opened up in the Central Market, where you're going to have to come down, and you and I will hang out there one day. Nice people. I just met them the other day, and they just.
Well, of course they're nice.
Well,
Gary,
of course. I said to them, you know Jeff Coleman? They didn't know you yet, but I said, you will. But I said, I'm going to pass the word on to him that you have this great, and that the food is fantastic. So.
You have no idea what my heart just did in that moment. So exciting.
Anyway, so you got to come down. Let me know when you come down someday, and we'll grab lunch down there together. Because I am a market guy. I'm in the market wandering constantly in both markets. So anyway, what's going on in Morning Light today?
Talking about men, and there's a little bit of a tiny little controversy about the He-Man movie. So we're going to talk about what is the definition of real masculinity. There's a GQ poll out that says what we think about ourselves, what men fear. And it's a strange thing. I mean, number one fear for men, money. Really, it's lots of money going out the door on personal care products and teeth whitening and hair replacement and all that stuff. But at the core, are men that feel a bit adrift.
Okay.
And I have 3 men who are very qualified to do it, and you know all of them.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe it was taking the trash down on Thursday was the biggest thing you feared, but that's probably minor compared to the other things you'll be talking about. Your panels are always great, and really appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Appreciate you, and we'll see you at the market soon.
Yeah, give me a call. See, I've whetted the appetite today. I know you'll have that somewhere in your mind all day long now, so... Take care, my friend.
We'll talk soon, Gary.
Take care, buddy. Jeff Coleman here on the Gary Sutton Show. You can check out Morning Light at Channel 49, 9 o'clock this morning. When we come back, John Politsapoulos checks in with us from Yanni's, or maybe not.
Becky?
Yes. Oh, Becky. Oh, I'm jumping ahead, aren't I? I'm way ahead in the hour. Let me back up. Coming up next, Becky Rill of Your Medicare Solutions joins us to talk about how their business operates. You might be interested in knowing, how do they get paid? If you're not paying them, someone else is. And how does that all work? She'll tell you about it. It's kind of interesting. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Fox Sports Update.
I don't know what to say except that I feel really sorry for him.
Did tennis great Novak Djokovic weigh in on the shocking news Tuesday night that six-time Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick was not elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility? No, Joker was referring to his opponent in the quarterfinals at the Australian Open, Lorenzo Musetti, who was wiping the court with the 10-time Australian Open champion until Musetti had to retire from the match because of an upper leg injury.
He was a far better player. I was on my way home tonight. Don't know what to say. I mean, this kind of things happen in sport, and it happened to me a few times.
Novak Djokovic, because of Lorenzo Musetti's untimely leg injury, moved on to the semifinals for the 13th time at the Australian Open, albeit aware that his opponent should have advanced.
Being in quarters of a Grand Slam, 2 sets to love up, and being in full control, I mean, so unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what else I can say. I really wish him a speedy recovery, and he should have been a winner today, no doubt.
With Lorenzo Musetti's leg injury, Novak Djokovic advanced to the Australian Open semifinals against Jannik Sinner, who knocked out American Ben Shelton in straight sets. American Jessica Pegula won her quarterfinals match versus fellow American Amanda Anisimova in straight sets to reach the Aussie Open semifinals for the first time. Pegula will face Elena Rybakina, who eliminated Iga Swiatek. Pegula's parents in the news yesterday. The Pegulas own the Buffalo Bills, who have hired a new head coach. It's their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. The Broncos fired offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi and 2 other assistant coaches. Former Giants head coach Brian Daboll hired by the Titans as offensive coordinator. The Jets fired offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand. For scores, more stories, and features, go to foxsports.com. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. We welcome in Becky Rill this morning of Your Medicare Solutions. Good morning, Becky. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. Thank you.
Well, you're on every other week, you and Keith, and I wanted you to talk this morning a little bit about, how you're helping people in the community with health insurance beyond with Medicare, but you even help connect them with other kinds of services. But I think people wanted to know, too, how you operate, because they said, well, we're not paying anything. How do they get paid? All that kind of stuff. So I thought that might be interesting this morning for you to kind of wade through that a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely.
I know you like to meet neighbors in the community, and if you've ever met Becky and Keith, you can't meet 2 more affable, wonderful people if you wanted to, but the information that you get is incredible. Talk about that.
Yeah, so repeat that question.
I said, well, the information that you get for people and what you do and digging up stuff and getting to the core of all this, that's really what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's just, I always say it's the health insurance first, and we, of course, get as much information as we can from people so we can help them with the Medicare. But then we also are asked all sorts of questions about, do you have access to, and they give us a laundry list of concerns that they have. And so we also have relationships with, financial advisors, accountants in the area, attorneys, even electricians I've been asked about,
right.
And different even services for seniors that they just may not know how to access those or just need some recommendations. So we really pride ourselves in building relationships throughout the community to help in ways even beyond the health insurance.
It's amazing how, things network out sometimes, and through all these contacts, you're helping people specifically with Medicare. Your-Medicare-Solutions.net is right there, and people go to that for information. But more importantly, the other things that come up in the networking that you do. Somebody asked me the other day, said, well, how do they get paid? If we're not paying them, how do they get paid when they help people in Medicare? So maybe you could tell people about that this morning.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we always get compensated through insurance companies. So there's never a charge to work with us. You can contact us at any time with questions you might have, and you never receive a bill. So, and a lot of this, what people don't realize, too, is standardized. So when they say, why are you recommending this plan versus a different plan, we get paid to the penny. The exact same amount, doesn't matter what insurance company it is. So we can tell people that this is really all about them and what best fits their personal needs.
Well, I found out firsthand this year when I sat down with your husband one day for about 15 minutes, and he saved me $1,500 on my prescription plan this year. And I was one of those idiots that would go out there. I call myself an idiot, no one else. And I went out there and I said, well, I'll stand pat on what I had last year. That's probably good enough. And I was just lazy. All of a sudden, I didn't do that, and it saved me $1,500 this year, to the point that I walked in the drugstore the other day, got a couple of drugs, and they said, no cost today. I went, what? So, thank you, and thank you again to both you and Keith on that. But that's the kind of thing that people can get savings on and information about and educated as well. And I know education is what you're all about, Becky.
It truly is. It really is about educating and letting you know what is out there. Because even with drug plans, for instance, they vary widely from company to company, plan to plan, but also knowing that there's other ways to get your prescriptions besides just using your drug plan. So we really work to educate so you know all the options you have.
Well, I stand educated, believe me, and I am a believer in looking each year at all these things, and I hope other people will do as well. 717-487-4382 is the number you call Becky and Keith, and they can give you a hand, and I'll tell you what, they know their stuff, and to the nth degree, and they're just good people. But they are good people who really know more about Medicare than most other people will ever know. And you can email them at RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. Becky, thank you for what you and Keith are doing to educate the community and help the community, people like me. I'm a person that will be coming to you every single year because you have the answers to the questions that I have.
My pleasure. Always our pleasure. We love to help in any way we can.
Becky, thanks so much. You have a wonderful day, and thanks to what you and Keith are doing for the community. Keith and Becky Rill, your-medicare-solutions.net. Check them out today. And Becky and Keith, just really good people. But I'll tell you what, you talk about knowledgeable. Whew. He came up in that computer, and I was amazed at what he was able to do in 15 minutes. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Tim Barker, as the District Attorney of York County, he's going to talk about, and we're really spending some time on this morning, a 287G agreement, which is an agreement with ICE and individual law enforcement groups in communities. So he's going to talk about that a little bit in general, and then we'll have Chief Millsaps of the West York Police, who has one of those agreements, is going to talk about that this morning. He's been taking a little bit of heat on social media, but he'll tell you from his mouth what that's all about and his thoughts about that here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK when he joins us at 8:05. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
sounds better with a kazoo.
No, it does not. Nothing sounds better with a kazoo. Stop it. What's the matter with you?
You're always on the run now.
Who sang this?
Laura Branigan.
Okay.
She was pretty hot there for a while. She had several hits. I think she might
had a
have
really slow song I remember I liked.
Yeah, how they live without you.
Yeah,
like
how
that.
they gonna live without you.
I want to say she passed away. I think.
Really?
So let me quickly
check on that, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. We'll get it later. But
yeah, she did. 2004.
2000. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Should have been a relatively young lady.
Born 1952.
Wow. A year after me. So there you go. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. Tim Barker's our district attorney of York County, and he joins us this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about 287G agreements. But good morning, Mr. DA. How are you?
I'm doing all right. And, Laura Branigan died of a brain aneurysm pretty young. I think she was like 47, something like that.
She had to be in her 40s.
Yeah. Yeah, she was making a comeback actually at the time, recording a new album, and she was pretty young. She was highly respected for her vocal abilities, and of course, Gloria was a massive hit that year. That was on the charts for forever that year. But
it's a shame you don't know anything about music. You know that. I mean, it's a shame you can't. You're like a history book. Honestly, I keep saying I'm not worthy. You really have a great ability to know all this stuff. I mean, I'm pretty incredulous.
Well, it's music places you in time. You know, you mentioned this before, like how we think about things and where we were, and so that's on the subtle things that does for me. It reminds me of different areas, and I know you're talking about the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster with the anniversary of that earlier. And so there are specific moments like that. I'll always remember where I was, when I heard about it at the cafeteria in high school, my junior year. You'll never forget that. But then there are small things that can trigger memories and things like that. For me, it's always music. Music always has. And that's a great thing. I think we all have that for some. Sports is always a trigger. That's one for me too, but it's cool the way that our brains operate with great sensory aspects,
it's like
memories,
like time markers. Like for me, I look back and I think the Kennedy assassination was the first big thing I remember, and then I think about later on the Challenger disaster, for example, or Vietnam War at a certain point, or the assassination of Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King. Later on, obviously 9/11 for a lot of us. So they're markers for us as we move along through our lives in history. Yeah, it's a great point. And to use music like that is really kind of neat, because for me, it all kind of blends together. And then I'll say, oh, yeah, I remember that. But what year was that? I can't do any of that. So I have a great admiration for someone who can. We're going to be talking with Chief Matt Millsaps here in a little bit from West York. They have a 287G agreement, I guess, with ICE. But I wanted to talk with you a little bit this morning because you get inside these a little bit. And I know we're not going to go into great detail, but I wanted to talk a little bit about 287G agreements because we're talking about that out in Minneapolis. I think there was an article in the paper the other day about the mayor of York right now, Sandy Walker, who we spoke with yesterday, is not going to engage in one of those. And yet there are people that are doing that. Talk a little bit about what a 287G agreement with ICE is actually all about.
Sure, and so legally, it is an express. It's legislation that expressly allows the United States Attorney General, their office, to enter into agreements with state and local law enforcement. So it really. It really codifies a process that conveys authority to local law enforcement if you enter into the agreement for investigation, apprehension, or detention of aliens, including transportation across state lines to detention centers. So it essentially, I'll try to Yeah, if we want to think about in layperson's terms, and this is no different than many other types of agreements, you're having one jurisdiction in law enforcement being able to convey through an agreement powers to carry out enforcement of laws in another jurisdiction.
And let me just interject something there, Mr. District Attorney.
Sure.
Because this is important, that immigration is a federal responsibility. So it's tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it's important for them then to offer that agreement to local authorities, because local authorities without that agreement cannot carry out any of that. Am I right?
So they can't enforce it.
Okay.
And so that's where difference is going to be between when the request is enforcement versus communication, because that's also covered expressly in the statute. So one of the things in 2025, in order to go ahead and carry out the duties, there was an executive order that was signed to essentially encourage and request the participation by local law enforcement agencies, if they so chose, to go ahead and enter into agreements to carry out the enforcement. And so this is something that had existed for years. This was not something that was new in legislation, but there was definitely an encouragement to do so. In the actual legislation, it talks about with costs being borne by the state or local agency, other than liability, you are covered for all liability by the federal government. You fall under their standards, including for workman's compensation, etc. But you are still a local employee. However, my understanding is that through the federal regulations is that there is compensation given to local agencies that do participate under the 287G agreements. But one of the interesting things about the statute, and so it requires you to be trained on federal immigration law. It confers your ability to carry out those enforcement aspects. And like you said, it's federal law, federal jurisdiction. And if we were to compare on a local level, I have the authority as DA to go ahead and swear in special county detectives to go ahead, and that means if you're working for a police department in one area, I make you a special county detective. You're able to enforce the state laws in another jurisdiction. Commonly, that occurs through like our drug task force and matters like that traditionally through the years. Well, this is the same thing. Federal law is federal jurisdiction. Think of it like another state. Think of it like it's something different. If you're going to ask state law enforcement to help to investigate and enforce, serve warrants, etc., you need to have a mechanism to do that, and that's what this law does via agreement. However, there is expressly put into the law, which is also important to note, that there's nothing in the law that is meant to imply a requirement that a state or local government has to enter into such an agreement. But furthermore, there's nothing in the law that should be construed that you're required to have an agreement for a state or local governmental law enforcement agency to communicate with, and they always use the term, the Attorney General's office. It's federal law enforcement regarding immigration status of any individual, including reporting knowledge that a particular alien is not lawfully present in the U.S., and B, otherwise to cooperate with the Attorney General in identification, apprehension, detention, or removal of aliens not lawfully present in the U.S.
So the cooperation is different from the idea of you are a designated kind of officer carrying that out, which thus, if you look at that, for example, York City not going to take part in the 287G agreement. West York does take part in the 287G agreement. So they look at it in a different way there, even though it does not say we will not at all cooperate, even if we're not in that agreement, we will not all cooperate. That was not what was said, and that still leaves that open that you can help do that with the federal authorities.
And really, it's going to be up to the local law enforcement with how they carry out their protocols, as what they do for communication, and quite frankly, most of what had existed in the past when you're talking about law enforcement interactions, if there is a criminal arrest, somebody is being processed for that. Through the processing, it's discovered that an individual is not within the country legally, then they're contact over to ICE, contact over to say this individual is not, are you seeking to detain, not detain? If you, are not seeking that, then processing goes as general. If you are seeking to detain, then the federal authorities will apply for a warrant, obtain a warrant, and go through and carry that out. Now, if you're a 287G, law enforcement agreement area, you then have the ability to essentially investigate, serve. Within the jail, you would have the ability to go ahead, process and obtain the warrants, to do all these different aspects. So those are two different areas and aspects. And so, yes, York City does not have such an agreement with ICE. In this capacity, they're not part of any task forces. They're not part of carrying out any investigative or policing duties. West York Police Department does have such an agreement, so they are able to, in their interactions with ICE.
And Tim, you kind of set the table for us nicely there, because we have Matt Millsaps on in our next hour to talk about that from his perspective. I know he's taken a little bit of a beating on some social media on that. We want to get some of that straight out there. But thank you for taking the time to explain that for us this morning. Really put it out on the table, because I think it really is helpful to understand what these are. We throw these agreements and things around, and people are going, oh, what's that all about? And we're talking about Minneapolis and Minnesota. It's much different. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure thing. And one final note I would say is, our aspect, whenever we've been asked about, hey, what should law enforcement do? It's really up to the local law enforcement agency. They know their capacities. They know what exists within their communities. They know what they're doing in terms of how to go ahead and protect and serve. And they, with whether or not they wish to enter into an agreement. So it's all based upon the locality and their resource assessments, because look, different agreements can be resource intensive. Even if you get reimbursed, they still can be resource intensive. So it's up to the law enforcement agency with what decisions they wish to reach. And all of our law enforcement, they're going to do they do what's right for everybody, and they all do a great job. And hey, and ICE enforcement, they're law enforcement too. And they've always been supportive, and they've been respectful in terms of their relationships always with us. Here locally. So the issues you see in other areas, we haven't seen.
No, you're right. We haven't seen that in this area at all. Hey, Tim, thank you so much for taking time to be with us. Have a great rest of your week.
Yep, you too. Thanks so much, Gary.
Thank you. Tim Barker, District Attorney of York County, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Hope to talk with John Politzopoulos next. I'll be out at Yanni's today, by the way, at 12 o'clock. My wife and I are going to have lunch out there. You're welcome to join us at 12. I know the District Attorney comes out there every now and then. He said he loves gyros, by the way. You didn't know that. Gyros. Gyros is what we say in our country, but gyros is the proper way of saying it. And he's eating a gyro or two. Yeah, but we're going to be out there today having lunch. Join us. We'd love to have you. 12 o'clock, 310 Town Center Drive at West Manchester Town Center, the shopping center out there on the west side of town. Of course, they have another one on the east side of town, 2815 Concord Lane. Back with John Politzopoulos and more news here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Wonder, Waylon. We Are the World. One of the most interesting documentaries I've seen in a long time.
1985, on this date, actually a few hours later, but 41 years ago, they left their egos at the door, allegedly, and recorded a song by Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and Lionel Richie, We Are the World, and went on to become a big hit and raised a lot of money.
All except for Waylon Jennings, who decided to walk out while they were doing it. He did not want to be there. He said, we're going to have to go all night. Nah, forget it. You get out of there. They had Harry Belafonte in there. Dan Aykroyd sang with him. Of course, Quincy Jones was directed. Michael Jackson had a big part to play. Lionel Richie, Kenny Loggins. I mean, they were all there.
Jeffrey Osborne.
It was after a award show, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, American Music Awards.
Yeah, and the people that they had singing, and one of the guys that sang in there was Dylan, Bob Dylan.
He didn't want to.
He didn't want to do it, and they talked him into it. And it was a fantastic. I mean, the interaction among them when you see this documentary is really, really good.
See, the thing I didn't like was that I offered to play kazoo because it was kazoo day, but nobody talked me into it.
Yeah, I'm glad, and talked you out of it is what they should have done. Yeah. By the way, the Epstein files. There's something you haven't heard much about lately. The deadline obviously is long gone, but when will the new documents be released? The Justice Department said yesterday in a court filing that it expects to complete processing millions of files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein in the near term, but did not provide a timeline to release the information to the public as required by law. More than a month has passed since the deadline set by Congress for the Department of Justice to publish all of its Epstein files, and upwards of millions of documents and photographs have not been released. In the filing, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, said it has made substantial progress in identifying documents and redacting victim-identifying information from emails, text messages, and video and audio recordings. Hundreds of department employees are working diligently to complete this, they said. This is a review. As expeditiously as possible without compromising victims' privacy so that its production can be complete, the filing states. This was filed in court yesterday, talking about why they're overtime here in getting this there. So
there was also a story yesterday that had Ghislaine Maxwell making some sort of appeal, and I don't know if it was an appeal, but it was basically a filing where she alleged that there were, I think, five main people and 24 others who got secret settlements in the case.
Wow.
And a lot of people, some legal experts think it's like a shot across the bow saying, I know stuff. And, like a bargaining chip, so to speak.
Exactly,
so,
yeah. She's trying to put out whatever leverage she has right now. And obviously, she knows some stuff. I mean, there's no question about that.
She got convicted,
And she was convicted on, helping him procure these young ladies. And so, it's going to be that story is not yet over, believe me. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. What else?
Let's talk about some health news, if you will. Our house call for health.
New studies shed light on how less salt in certain foods could improve your heart health. Two studies published in the journal Hypertension find that reducing the sodium in prepared foods may significantly prevent the rate of heart disease, stroke, and death. The studies analyzing national diet and health data in France and the United Kingdom, two areas where food giants have slowly reduced salt levels in store-bought foods over the years. Researchers found that in France, adults who cut daily salt intake by 0.35 grams lower their blood pressure and prevent more than 1,000 deaths. Meantime, in the UK, similar salt reductions in packaged foods and takeout could lower sodium intake by 17.5%. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
See, that's something very easy to do. But less salt is going to make probably sales figures maybe change a little bit.
My doctor, when I was in there for my yearly last week, said, he said, watch the salt intake. And I do. I mean, I try to watch that, but there you go.
Well,
anyway, this hour has been brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions, your-medicare.solutions.net. Keith and Becky Rill are ready to help you with your Medicare questions and maybe save you some money like they did me. They'll give you peace of mind. They'll find the best plans for you. Simple enrollment, obviously. But right now, you might have questions about Medicare. A lot of people are moving in that area. Medicare Advantage plans, for example, Medigap, the supplement plans. What's that all about? Prescription drugs. That's one I got into this year. And when can I enroll? Should I enroll in Medicare Part A or B? Which plan's best for me? All those kind of questions come up. Why don't you give them a call today at 717-487-4382 or email them at RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. And believe me, they will be able to help you. Mark?
Well, a couple of odd facts. Did you know that there are about 2 billion parking spaces in the U.S.?
No.
Yes, works out to about 7 per car.
I only need 1.
And this one I have to chuckle at because the Cliff Notes version of the Scarlet Letter outsells the actual book by about 4 to 1. Not surprising.
I remember reading that in English class in high school.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Talk about depressing. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, the Scarlet Letter. And then when you find out where the letter is at the end, it's pretty amazing. So, yeah, back in Puritan, New England.
Good times.
Yes, good times. Happy time. Few witch burnings here and there, little social events. Yeah, okay. Anyway, when we come back, Matt Millsaps is the police chief at West York. We're going to talk about a 287G agreement, which he has with his police department and ICE, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 8 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth. You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK on a Wednesday morning, the 28th of January, 2026. I am Gary Sutton. By the way, I'll be out today at 12 o'clock at Yanni's Gyros. Right out there at 310 Town Center Drive in the West Manchester Town Center. And you can also check out 2815 Concord Drive over in the Best Buy Shopping Center, where they are there every day, 11 to 9, serving the best gyros that you're ever going to have in your life. John Politzapoulos and his family know how to do it and do it right. Check it out today. And stop out and have lunch with me at 12 o'clock. My wife, Debbie, and I are going to stop out there, and we'd love to have you stop by and just gab over a gyro or some fries or souvlaki or masaka or pasticcio, any of those. You could talk to us over any of those. Anyway, there you go. So looking forward to seeing you, Yanni's, today at 12 o'clock. This show is being sponsored by two presenting sponsors, Kindness Worldwide. What are you going to do to bring more kindness into your sphere of influence today? Check them out at kindnessworldwide.org. It all got started with a Wallopy return to Kevin Smith. And man, has it kicked out some from there. And people are a little bit more kind everywhere right now as a result of Kevin and his cards and where he's going and what people are doing, the networking out. Also, Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law, 117 East Market Street right here in York. Their primary focus is estate planning, estate administration, family law, divorce and custody, elder law, municipal law, and military law. Yeah, Andy Harold practices in that area, and I'll tell you what, does a great job. Has had a lot of experience in that regard. You could check them out today at 717-846-8811. Again, 117 East Market Street right here in York. Great people to deal with. Been around since the 1940s, says this law firm. And the hours are Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5 o'clock. They are ready to help you. When you walk in off Main Street, York, anywhere in York County, they are ready to help you right now with those matters of law, points of law that maybe are a little bit bigger than we are and need some expertise. They've got that expertise at Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law and practicing family law as well. So I hope you'll check them out today and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. 717-846-8811. And this hour of the Gary Sutton Show, if that weren't enough, Test Pass, Total Exterminating Services, Steve Shetter, and all of his good people are ready to help you. Give him a call, 717-951-3868. You can go to steven.shetter@testpass.com. Serving residential and commercial customers right now and doing a great job. 50 years of experience. And Steve is going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the hour. But right now, we are honored this morning to have with us Chief Matt Millsaps from West York Police. And he was a fellow Spirit of Civility Award winner last week, and had a chance to get to know him some time ago. And I'll tell you what, one of the great guys in our community, and we thank him for his service. Good morning, Chief Millsaps. How are you this morning?
Hey, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's good to have you aboard. A lot of us have been watching lately. First of all, congratulations on the Spirit of Civility Award last week, and I appreciated what you had to say. It was really a good speech, so thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, and likewise to you, Gary. You received one also.
Well, it was good to be with you that day, and you know, especially after the kind of year you guys have had, and it's been a tough one. But a lot of us are watching Minneapolis, we're watching Minnesota right now, we're watching around the country as ICE is carrying out, deportations or rounding up illegal aliens, so forth, and people become aware of these 287G ICE agreements. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. There was a little thing in the paper about it the other day. I know social media has been kicking it around a little bit and so forth, but I wanted to get from you directly what that's all about and why you feel it's important for a community maybe to have that. Over 1,000, by the way, have those agreements around the United States. So it's not like just one or two. It's a lot of people are really getting involved in that.
Well, Well, for us, Gary, I mean, I saw it early on as an opportunity to be proactive and in being responsible for the safety of our community, and that includes immigrant population across the board. There have been a couple different waves and a couple different concerns, it seems, that people have expressed over the course of the last year or so regarding the ICE activity and immigration enforcement. The first one being the types of laws they were enforcing and, what's allowed to be enforced and that type of thing. So the first piece of our 287G agreement, which, mind you, it isn't like the entire department. I mean, the agreement's with the department, but it's not like every West York officer is a participating member with that program. There are only a handful of us, and it's mostly the senior guys, the shift supervisors, those that have decision-making authority. But having said that, and not to take away every officer has decision-making authority, but those that oversee shifts or the senior officers on duty and that type of thing. Neither here nor there. The first piece of the model of 287G agreement, there are a few different models that we involved ourselves in, provided training in areas of the law and things like that relating to what ICE is enforcing, what types of actions are appropriate under the law and how they should be carried out. So that was the first prong, if you would, in response to a lot of people being concerned about how they operate and what they do. We wanted to take that opportunity to educate ourselves and make sure we're able to monitor and see that those laws and rules were being followed. From there, then, the other piece of it, if you would, well, I think that the other piece of it, if you would, then, is it provides local control over the enforcement activities that are going on in different areas. So I don't know. I know you said that there was a lot of talk last week. I think there were some administrative things going on there at the ICE facility in York that some people misinterpreted and thought there was some big activity or something like that.
Yeah.
There was nothing along those lines.
Right.
But having said that, one of the things that I've seen lots of communities concerned about is this idea of, I think they say, masked agents coming into their community and people reported kidnapping people and things like that. The reality of it is, with the agreement we have, anytime there would be some type of enforcement action or ICE operation in West York, they work through us. So we are able to serve at a local level as the local police department, as a mediator or a buffer, or be able to create situations where things are being conducted and handled more safely, and I certainly could give you examples of that at some point if you like.
That sounds like a healthier way of doing it, where you do know the people who are in your area. You do know your area better than some outside force. I was looking at the different models here, Chief. It says the broadest model, recently revived, allows this is called the task force model, allows deputized officers to question and arrest individuals for immigration violations during routine daily activities, such as traffic stops. Then there's a jail enforcement model, it says, restricts immigration screening to individuals already in local custody for criminal charges. And then there's a warrant service officer model, known as the WSO, a more limited version where officers serve and execute administrative immigration warrants on people already in custody. Is yours the task force model that you would have for some of your policemen right now?
Yeah, ours is a task force model. We don't have a jail, and that warrant service model isn't really applicable to us.
Right.
So to attain the education and attain that partnership, the only thing that was really fitting was that task force model.
Right. We're talking with Chief Matt Millsaps. Now, you mentioned about maybe some examples of going through you and local enforcement if there were people carrying out, those kind of deportation-type activities in the area. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the reality of it is that some of the individuals that we've been able to identify or come in contact with are through criminal investigations that we're already conducting.
Right.
And essentially that just creates an ability for us to have an open line of communication with that federal agency or other federal agencies that may have interest in looking at prosecuting or handling a case at that level above the local level. So, there have been situations, and again, by putting the ball in our court, where we've been able to broker or mediate, in some cases, people that have not followed the process or have been through due process, gone to court, had final orders of removal. We've been able to broker those situations where they, because we are familiar with their family members or familiar with those members of the community, have turned themselves in at our station as opposed to people showing up at their houses, that type of thing, or arrests and detentions occurring in the street. We've been able to broker that. There are some federal programs where in some cases, even with that voluntary deportation aspect of things, they get an amount of reimbursement for voluntarily deporting themselves, if you would. Then there are other cases where we've been able to get people out of detention. There are times where within the process of immigration, there are certain steps that need to be followed. And in some cases, those steps are paperwork issues and things like that. So we've been able to fight for some of our residents to be able to get them out of detention and into a position where they are able to continue to follow what they need to do to receive permanent resident status or citizenship. So like I say, this isn't about going out and just finding people and arresting people or something like that. This has allowed us to be able to work closer with the community and, as local officers, be sort of a mediator between our community and that federal entity at this point.
Chief Millsaps, one final question. You watch what's going on in Minneapolis, and we've seen the two people killed out there, and there's been others who have been killed around the country, and different things that have come up. How hard is it when you're doing your daily job to kind of fight back against, what the perception is that you're either on the side of ICE, you're anti-ICE, that kind of thing. And that's not exactly maybe the proper comparison that should be brought up there. But how hard is it to fight back against, what people are seeing every day on social media, on TV, and all that kind of thing?
I mean, as far as things go with us, Gary, this is a very, I've said it repeatedly, and I'm aware, this is a very polarizing issue with people. Right. By and large, I think everybody agrees that there's laws and rules that have been established for a reason. I mean, literally, you can't move to South Sudan or to Haiti without going through an immigration process. So having said that, just like the rest of our laws and rules and regulations we have, whether we agree with them or not, there needs to be a point of enforcement and a point of ensuring compliance with those laws and rules. Like I said, we just saw this as an opportunity to take a lot of unknowns that other communities were concerned about and make them known to us and put the ball in our court by being able to proactively look out for our citizens and create those bridges as they need to happen from a safe perspective,
Well, and it sounds to me, too, like you're looking out for people as well, even the people who are not citizens, that they're being treated like people and that you are, stepping in there and trying to find some other options as well. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but that, as I'm listening to you, that's what I've taken away from it. Do I have the right takeaway?
I think what I would say is this. I mean, we as local police are in the streets working with people in the West York community every day of the week.
Right.
We are in situations that, 1,000 to 1, we're in situations that require de-escalation and officer awareness of the situation and diffusing a situation 1,000 times for other incidents. For every one time, there's one relating to some type of immigration issue or anything like that. The reality of it is we're familiar. It's our home turf. What you've seen in some of these other areas, there are people that do have a job to do, but they're coming in from outside areas, questionable about their prior experiences and training and things like that, and they're tasked with enforcing certain laws. We who have that exposure to the local community and have that vast amount of experience in our local environment, diffusing and de-escalating situations, I think it's optimal that we are functioning as that buffer
Great
right
point.
now.
No, I think that's well said, and I think again, familiarity with the people of your area, familiarity with the turf of your area, I think is really, really important. Thank you so much for taking time to explain that this morning. I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for your service to the West York community and the community at large. Always appreciate you, Chief Millsaps. Thank you so much.
Sure, Gary. Thank you.
And have a great day. Chief Matt Millsaps over at West York Borough Police. He is the chief there, explaining the 287G agreement, and talks like they wanted to get updated on what was going on, what their role was, how to do it, how to defuse situations, not infuse them, and very interesting conversation there this morning. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. We got Steve Shetter. He doesn't want to diffuse any situations. He want to get rid of your pests, not your pets, your pests. Pests is just pets spelled another way, right? Anyway, but we want to make sure your pets are safe, but the pests are gone. And Steve's going to tell you about that when we come back. And with all this snow, what kind of pests are most prevalent right now? We'll find out right around the corner. Steve Shetter, Test Pest, Total Exterminating Services, up next.
Are we going to stand for this? We're going to let them do this to us? No, I say, no! We're not going to eat this dreck anymore! We want something else! We want something else! We want something else! We want something else!
An episode of MASH, Alan Alda.
Yes.
With revolt against the food they were getting served, like liver and onions.
Liver and onions and fish.
That was it.
Yeah, those were the two. Then it was like cream of corn and mashed potato.
I just saw a moving story last week about Alan Alda has developed, I believe, Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
And that the guy who played Radar O'Reilly saw that and came to his house and got there early and sat outside in the cold
Gary
waiting for him to open the door, Gary Berghoff. And that truly was a friend off the set of MASH. And just recently that happened. It's very, very interesting story.
It is Alan Alda's birthday today.
How old is he?
He is 90.
Wow.
Ariel Winter, who played a lot of people, well, they were kids on the TV show Modern Family. She's now an adult, 28.
Right.
Sarah McLachlan, who sings all those sad songs on those commercials with, pets being abused.
Right.
She is 58. Barbie Benton is 76.
She used to be the girlfriend of Hugh Hefner.
That's correct. And used to be on Hee Haw.
Yeah.
You don't know how close we came to hearing the theme to Hee Haw.
Yeah.
And finally...
On a kazoo. That would be
exactly.
my version of hell. Yeah. There you go.
Mikhail Baryshnikov, 78 today.
Great ballet dancer. Yes. And I don't think that's something that Steve Shetter has probably ever done, is ballet dance, but he's here this morning. But he dances with the pests, Test Pest, Total Exterminating Services. And Steve's here this morning. I don't think you and Mikhail Baryshnikov have ever been mentioned in the same sentence, come to think of it, Steve.
No, I don't believe I have, Gary. Good morning.
You've never worn tights, right?
We'll go to the next subject.
Thank you very much. We'll move to the next one. Anyway, great to have you in this morning. The snow has fallen here in York and Lancaster and Adams County, and I imagine that presents some interesting situations for you in the pest industry. So what are the main calls you get right now? Because obviously, with the cold and the snow, those pests are looking to go somewhere, right?
Yes, they certainly are, Gary. They're looking to come inside. And one of the other side effects of the snow is eventually when it melts, we're going to get quite a few calls from customers that are going to see tunnels in their lawn. Oh. And that is a vole with a V, which looks like a fat field mouse. But they run back and forth under the snow, and they'll wear the grass down, and we'll get quite a few calls on that once this finally goes away.
So that's a pest you could take care of, voles?
It is, and actually, I think we've talked about organics before, but that is actually a pest where organics work pretty well.
Now, when you say organics, what does that mean exactly?
So we do have organic materials that we use. We try and go as environmentally friendly always as we can.
Right.
And going organic for voles is basically putting a repellent down. And those repellents are just oils. It's peppermint oil, spearmint oil, mineral oils. And rodents don't like the smell of it. And it actually works really well for repelling these critters and get them out of your lawn and out of your mulch beds and away from your house.
I had never heard that until now about voles. And how do you spell it? V-O-L-E-S?
Yes.
V-O-L-E-S. A lot of people get it confused with moles.
Right.
So there's moles and voles. But the vole it's basically a field mouse, Gary, and it will chew on your shrubbery and the bark of your shrubbery and that sort of thing, and it can be destructive. So it's one we're anticipating when the snow finally melts that we're going to get quite a few calls on.
I love when I learn something new each week, and I just learned something new today about voles. Now, tonight over a drink somewhere, I could explain that to somebody, and I'll know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, now you got me worried about something else. I mean, I got rid of the ants. Now I got the voles potentially running around in my yard out there. So when your guy comes quarterly to check things out, we'll take a little look at that as well. But I'll be out there looking for little tunnels now, for heaven's sakes. So you got me on that again. Good grief.
Yeah.
Anyway, Steve.
Something new every week for you guys.
Oh, I'm telling you what, I need it. But you know what? The one thing I'm glad about is that I have you as my pest guy, because I'll tell you what, I don't worry about those kind of things much anymore, seriously, because you guys take care of it. And that's 50 years of experience talking right there with you, my friend. I know you've been around this business for a long time, but you're helping residential and commercial customers all over the place right now, right here in Lancaster, York, and Hanover. And I really appreciate what you're doing. That quarterly program I'm on is the most affordable thing I could ever ask for. And I love the idea that you're coming out and just checking proactively to make sure that there aren't pests in my walls, in my floors, under my rugs, and all that kind of stuff, out in my lawn with little voles digging holes and things like that, right?
Exactly, Gary. And the nice thing with that quarterly program is you're covered all year long. If you have an issue in between, you give us a call. If it's not your scheduled visit, we're still going to send a technician out there, take care of that need, and you don't get a bill that day. It's all covered under that yearly plan.
And for people that are wondering about it, free evaluations too, right? You come out to the home and check it out yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I do most of those, and I come in with my experience. We take a look at the situation, whether it be voles or whatever the situation is. I'll explain thoroughly to the customer what they're dealing with, come up with a game plan, provide the estimate, and then get someone scheduled to get out there very quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes peeled for voles in your snow. But locally owned and operated, that's Total Exterminating Services, testpest.com. That's TESPEST.com. And you can check it out today. But give Steve a call at 717-951-3868 or Stephen.Shetter@testpest.com. Residential, commercial pest control, and they give 1% of their net profits back to local charities. Affordable programs designed for you right here in the York, Hanover, and Lancaster areas. Steve, can't tell you how much we appreciate what you're doing. Keep up the great work, my friend.
Hey, appreciate you, Gary. Have a good week.
Steve Shetter and all the good people at Total Exterminating Services. Have a great week, Steve, and we'll talk to you next week. Yeah. Wow. Well, when we come back, we are going to meet a new person this morning on our show. Patrick Ball is the head of Life Path Ministries and the CEO of the York Fair. And we're going to talk about helping people during this cold weather right now. You heard Sandy Walker talk about it yesterday. Patrick's going to elaborate a little bit more on that and what's available this morning to people and how you can help people who are in need right now in this cold weather time. Patrick Ball up next, and then Dakota Cody Hartlaw at 8:52 this morning on becoming the person you want to be before you become that person. How's that for a little bit of a riddle? All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Welcome back. Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK 98.9 FM, 1350 AM, WOYK. Gary Sutton here on a Wednesday morning. Jack Giambalvo wants me to remind you that cold mornings drop tire pressure. How many of you have got that little light that comes on? It says your tire pressure is low, you parked outside. It can affect traction and handling. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But here's the one most people forget. Check the spare two. If you ever need it in the cold, you'll be glad it's ready. But, keep your eye on that tire pressure as well. If it doesn't go off, maybe there is something wrong, and you need to get out there and get a little bit of air in there and fill it up. That's a little tip from Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships. If you're looking for a pre-owned car right now, Jack Giambalvo has a list of like 300 pre-owned vehicles ready to be moved to make room for new inventory. If you go to Jack Giambalvo, GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com right now, you can see all of those cars available at 6 great locations. And I don't care if you want an SUV, a truck, a sedan, an import, a domestic. If you're looking for it, it is here right now. Shopping with Giambalvo is fast and hassle-free and pressure-free. In fact, if you get a pre-owned vehicle with Giambalvo, they have free lifetime PA state inspections for you and anybody in your household. And also, you get the 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty included on most pre-owned vehicles, and their vehicles go through rigorous inspection to ensure they are roadworthy. That's Jack Giambalvo. That's a stamp of approval that he puts on it. That's 50-plus years of establishing trust, quality cars, and reliable service here in York County talking. And shopping with Giambalvo is fast and hassle-free and pressure-free. Just great cars, great people, a smooth buying experience from start to finish. So it's all the brands you love, all the choices you need, proudly serving the York and Hanover community for over 50 years. These vehicles will not last for long. Start your search now at GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com. That's GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com. Or stop in at one of the 6 great locations. And if you're looking for new cars as well, guess what? I bought mine there last February. My wife and I are going down today. She's looking to buy a new car today. She has her eye on it. She told me last night at Jack Giambalvo. Where else? Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships. Move fast and feel the Giambalvo difference today. And tell them Gary Sutton, a proud owner, sent you. WOYK News Time is 6:37. And we move now to Patrick Ball, who we've not had on the show before, but I've heard an awful lot about him. He's the head of Life Path Ministries and CEO of the York Fair. But he's here with us this morning. Patrick, great to have you on the show. Good morning to you.
Morning, Gary. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. How about you? You guys have been pretty busy here of late, I guess, over at Life Path Christian Ministries, right?
Oh, you got it. Really since the beginning of November, but things have really picked up right around middle of December through the current day.
You're located about 12 minutes from where we're sitting right here at Wellspan Park at 367 West Market Street, New York. Mm-hmm. And, tell people a little bit about what you do, because a lot of people have heard of Life Path, but maybe aren't sure of what all the different areas are that you're involved in.
Sure. So what we do is we provide services to our folks in our community who are experiencing homelessness, right. And whether that means sheltering or providing hygiene services for people who may have an apartment but don't have utilities. They can come in, take a shower, or folks who choose to live on the street can do the same. We also offer not only meals to our guests, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, but we also offer community meals Monday through Friday for lunch and dinner at our Market Street campus.
When you get into this kind of weather right now, obviously this extreme weather we have right now, obviously there are things that have to be done. I know on your website here at lifepathyork.org, you have up all different kinds of alerts like the winter weather alert, and people can obviously help with that. Talk about some of the strains that go out there and some of the worries that you have. I was reading last night, 10 people they think froze to death in New York City. And I thought, wow. And then thinking about my own city here in New York and what you people have done for a long time, what you're doing now to make sure that people are getting indoors, that people are taken care of. How do you get out there and do that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we have, in York County, we're really blessed. We have an incredible network of people who work really well together, right? And so if you think about, housing insecurity as kind of a continuum, we have a team of people, friends and neighbors who go out and visit people in the community who may be living outside, living in their vehicles, things like that. There are other organizations that also do that here and there, but then the referrals are made to organizations like ours, right? And there are other shelters within York County as well. But basically, what we try to do, especially during this time of year, is we run what we call our Code Blue.
Yes.
And Code Blue means from November 1st to March 31st, regardless of temperature, You can come in off the streets. You don't have to be part of the program, and you can sleep inside. And so we actually tear down our community room / chapel area. We also tear down our dining hall every evening after dinner, and we set up 35 cots, another 30 or so cots in the chapel, and then we have another area where we set up. So we end up about 70 additional cots for the night. And again, what we do is we do that every night, right? And so what that does, excuse me, from a staffing perspective, right, it makes it a lot easier for us to be able to say, hey, we need to staff this. But more importantly, it's the communication, right? So somebody doesn't have to worry, well, they're going to be open tonight or not, and so we can get the word out to the community that regardless of temperature, regardless of the weather, we're going to be open November 1st through March 31st in this code blue situation, so that people have the option to come in and secure those services.
One of the things that occurs to me is that we think about people who are coming in from the cold or maybe are homeless or whatever as individuals. But we have families that are out there like that. And I was looking on your website, and I was really reminded of that when I was looking at one section here, and there's a family there having dinner. So when we think about this, we have to think beyond just the individual, which is very important, obviously, but into that family level also. How much of that do we have here in York area that you deal with at Life Path Ministries?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Gary. I think what's interesting is, there's a bunch of factors that go into homelessness, right, to make homelessness a very complex issue. And as you start to peel back the layers of the onion, one of the things that we noticed a couple of years ago was there was an unmet need. And again, we've got people who are working on that need, but where we had families, even fathers with children, right? People don't think of that model of a family, but since we opened our family flex shelter, we've had fathers with children for the last 2 years, right? Just a variety of different people. And again, we've been able to move people out, and as soon as we do that, more people move in. And so that's one of the interesting dynamics, is this changing face of homelessness, right? And I think when you look at the macro environments, whether it's economic or otherwise, there's people who have been close to the edge, but they've been pretty much middle class their entire lives.
Right.
As economic things have changed, or one bad decision or one bad event in their life kind of pushed them over that edge. And when they come to us, they don't know what to do, right? They've never navigated the system because they didn't grow up in the system. And that's been a real change, especially over the last few years that we've noticed. And I think, one of the other things that we do to talk specifically about families, we and the other shelters in York County, we actually track how many people we know of and how many families are living in vehicles.
Wow.
And right now it's in the low 50s. I think it's 52 or 53 different families living in vehicles in York County that we're aware of, right? And these are families that go from, the Target parking lot to the Walmart parking lot to the church parking lot, so that they're not victimized, right? And they don't want people to know that they're living their vehicle. But it's a reality here in York County, and it's a tough situation because of, again, how transient that population is. But we do our best as a continuum of care within the county to reach out to those folks and see what we can do to help.
We're talking with Patrick Ball, head of Life Path Ministries, and right here in York County. Patrick, what's the biggest need for your organization right now from the community? If people are sitting there right now and saying, man, how could I get involved? How could I help out? What could I do? Are there needs that are unmet right now where you could use more people to help you in the ministries?
Yeah, I think, we can always use volunteers, right? We've got a tremendous group of volunteers. Sometimes people will come in and volunteer once as part of a corporate group. We have a number of volunteers that are definitely repeat. And then we've got, a group of people who are extremely dedicated who come in every week, right? Or almost every day and do a variety of things. But we can always use more hands, makes lighter work. We also have a list on our website at lifepathyork.org of the top sort of material things that we need.
Right.
And whether that's, socks and blankets and all that kind of thing. It changes season to season, and so it's good to watch that, right? We distribute a lot of water, a lot of bottled water. That's always a need, and especially this time of year, things to help keep people warm. So, as we bring people in, whether there's pillows, blankets, and those types of things. But referring to that list, and then of course, I don't want to make this a cash commercial, but cash always gives us the most flexibility to kind of get what we need, and we're a very human intense model, right? And so salaries is our number one expense, but it's what really makes the difference in the lives of the people that we care for.
You can go to lifepathyork.org. That's lifepath, all one word, lifepathyork.org, and then /take-action if you want to get in there. Just take a look at all the different ways you could help. But, one of the great things I like about reading about your organization here, and I want to be able to help myself in more ways, and you and I can talk about that off the air, but hope lives here. That's kind of what your volunteers say a lot, that hope lives here. People who are really down and out or having a tough time making ends meet, or maybe are homeless, or maybe you're hungry, or don't have a place to stay at night. The fact that hope lives here, it does give people a light out there in the darkness, right?
Oh, that's absolutely right. And I think, when you look at an organization like LifePath, again, providing that hope and saying, look, there is someone who cares for you. There is someone who, is ready to reach out a hand and help, right? And for a lot of people, that's all they need, right? They just need that little bit of a bridge, right, to kind of help them figure things out. And our case managers and our guest service specialists do an incredible job of making people feel welcome and, helping them, because you can't get to the root cause of what brought them into homelessness if they're hungry, right, or if they're cold. And so we bring them in, stabilize their situation, get them to a point where then, okay, let's talk about, an example we always use is, well, why are you here? Well, I got evicted from my apartment. Well, why'd you get evicted from your apartment?
Right.
Well, I lost my job. Well, why'd you lose your job? Well, I started drinking. Well, why'd you start drinking? Perhaps there was childhood trauma or something like that. The answer isn't get them another job, because they're going to lose that one as well, right? The answer is to address the root cause, and we've got just an incredible network of partners, whether it's WellSpan, Family First Health, UPMC, folks in county government who can help, right? And so we're able to connect people who can help resolve those root causes, which then allow people to get back on track and allow us to help them move on to the next chapter.
Take care of the immediacy of the moment and then work on the other parts that go a little deeper in terms of all the reasons that you might have gotten to that moment. Where can people contact you if they know of someone who needs your services or someone who wants to volunteer? Tell people a little bit about that, if you would. I know lifepathyork.org is a big place to go, and a lot of things are right there. But what else would you tell them, Patrick?
Yep, and then other than that, you can just call the number on the website, and that'll get you right to somebody who can connect you with what you're looking for. And whether that's looking for a bed with us, understanding what the hours for the meals are, or needing connection to another service, we can absolutely help.
Well, I'll tell you what, 717-845-7662, I believe is the number there, 717-845-7662. Ladies and gentlemen, time of need for a number of people. You heard 50-some families living in cars here in York County. I mean, it's a time of need. Let's help everybody out right now. lifepathyork.org. Patrick Ball and his volunteers are doing a great job. If you want to volunteer, again, 717-845-7662. Call and find out the ways in which you do that. If you want to help with cash, you want to help with water, things like that, find out about it by calling that number. Again, 717-845-7662. Patrick, thank you for what all of you are doing right now, and we look forward to helping you more as a community here in York.
We appreciate the partnership and the support. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Take care. Patrick Ball here on the Gary Sutton Show. Very serious situation here, and just imagine having to sleep outside one of these nights or somehow being left behind. And, you talk about, everybody's got reasons for why these things happen, and yet here's LifePath doing a great job on finding out what those reasons are and trying to help people to get to a better place. We'll take a break. We'll come back. My trainer, Cody Hartlaub, is going to be joining us next here on the Gary Sutton Show. I do want to remind you, by the way, that they have a sale coming up this afternoon at Thomas Hill Country Auction. Yeah, 4 p.m. home decor, holiday decor, silver plate and flatware, no kazoos. Home decor, silk flowers, new two-piece luggage set in a box, new sheet and bedclothes, antique light fixtures, vintage hats, pewter plate, cradle, headboard, baskets, dishes, silver plate pieces, teapots, flatware, brass items. I'm going to tell you what, Mark, they've got a ton of things out there. It's an eclectic kind of sale. Why don't you find out what's out there by going to thomasvillecountryauction.com right now. Go down the left-hand side. You'll see blue tabs there. Hit auction date. Today's the 28th, and you can find every item that's up for bid this afternoon so you know what you're going to look at and what you're looking for when you get on out there. And maybe it's time for you to get rid of some unwanted items. Maybe they still have a lot of value, but you just don't have any place to put them. You're moving, you're downsizing, you're getting a little older, going to smaller space. You don't have a place to put all that stuff. Well, Thomasville Country Auction can take care of that for you. Call Jack and Cheryl Hooks today at 717-764-5403. Have them come on out, and they will help you with the sale. And if you're coming to selling your real estate, Cheryl can do that and save you lots of money. And if you have a collection right now to sell, Jack and Cheryl Hooks are looking for those collections, be they coins or something else. 717-764-5403, or go down out to the sale this afternoon to Thomasville Country Auction, Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. And my trainer, Cody Hartlaub, with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show to talk a little bit about something kind of, it sounds very cryptic, becoming the person you want to be before you become that person. How do you do that? Good morning, Cody. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. How do you do that? How do you become the person you want to be before you become that person? That's kind of an interesting cryptic statement.
Yeah, so there's a couple parts to it. So first, you got to know exactly who you want to become and where you want to go. So if it's from a fitness standpoint, do you want to lose weight so that way you can play with your grandkids or be better at golf or fit back into that dress that you haven't worn in 10 years, whatever that is. And then the things that person would be doing in order to have that goal. So let's say it's, get a better golf swing. Okay, so somebody has a better golf swing, they're probably training and practicing every day. They're probably eating healthy. They're probably getting to bed on time. So even though you're not, you don't have that better golf swing yet, you start taking those actions today to make it happen.
So in other words, you and again, we come back to the idea of vision. You better have a long-term look here at things as you're doing the day-by-day stuff to get there. Am I saying it the right way?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly correct. You got to have a vision. You got to know exactly where you want to go. And even more powerful than that, you have to have something that's bigger than you and bigger than your purpose, right? So, for example, if you're losing weight that way, you can play with the grandkids in the backyard. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Not a lot of people can do that. So you have to tie it into something that's bigger than you.
Cody and I work every day right now, and one of the things he's helped me with is to understand about getting more flexible or trying to turn differently because I want to change my golf swing. And he analyzed the golf swing when I was over there at the back nine the other week and then looked at it and said, you're doing a lot of arm heavy stuff. You got to get your lower body going. And I'll tell you what, it's hard to do some of that. But, every time I make the move in one of the exercises, I'm thinking, okay, that's 10 to 15 yards more. That's 10 to 15 yards more. And that's kind of, so you look at the long-term goal while you're doing the short-term stuff, right?
That's exactly right. Every rep is a little bit more progress towards that goal, whether that's adding, 15 yards to your drive, like you mentioned, or if it's, playing with the grandkids in the backyard or fitting into that wedding dress.
I think playing
every single action that you take is important.
I think playing with the kids in the backyard is much more important than a golf swing, obviously. But, we all have little goals that maybe aren't world peace, but there's something you're trying to do in terms of being a little bit better. That's an interesting way of looking at it this morning, though, is, an interesting way of saying it. I've never thought about it that way until you said it this morning. The idea of becoming the person that you want to be before you get there. And that takes fundamentals, and that's kind of what we're talking about every single day, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, thinking back to our state championship team, Gary, those boys had to play like they had already won the state championship with that intensity and focus well before they ever got to that game, before they even believed that it was possible to get to the game.
So you have to see it, you have to believe it, and then, the chances are better that you can maybe do it in the long run. Cody, great stuff this morning. As always, my friend, I look forward to seeing you at 9:30 and get our little workout in. But where can people find you right now and find out more about what you're doing?
Sure. You can go to my website, cody-hartlaub.com. That's KODY-HARTLAUB.com.
Cody, a mental and physical guy, and I'll tell you what, he's been good for me. I've been working with him now for about 4 months and just doing a great job, or the best he can do with what he's got to work with anyway. Cody, have a great day. I'll see you in a bit, man.
Sounds great. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Cody Hartlaub here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We're just about the end of the show, and I do want to thank Test Pest for being the sponsor of this hour. Total Exterminating Services. Steve Shetter is getting it done over there at 951-3868, of course, the 717 area code. Or you can go to Steven.Shetter at testpest.com, residential and commercial pest control. And we found out today about the voles, VOLES, that are tunneling through your backyard as we speak. So Steve can take care of them. He serves Lancaster, York, and Hanover. Locally owned and operated, gives back up 1% of net profits to charity and affordable programs designed for your needs. Total Exterminating Services. Check them out at testpest.com. And coming up tomorrow here on the Gary Sutton Show, we've got a whole lot of things going on. We got Chris Markowski starting out at 6:35, and still take a look at the national and international economy and much, much more. And then it just keeps on rolling throughout the whole show. Have a great day, everyone. It's 9 o'clock.